Qualifying heat race action started with the Beckwith Machinery late models. In their first heat, a yellow flag due to an uneven front row at the start saw contact made in turn one with Ken Imler's machine coming to a rest. The number 87 suffered rear end damage and was retired for the evening. When the green flag finally waved, Bobby Henry took off with the lead while the white machine of Dave Chelsted followed in second. Randy Burke and Glenn Galt battled for third, but at the finish it was Bobby Henry followed by Dave Chelsted, Randy Burke, Glenn Galt, and Chuck Kessler. Brothers Tom Burke Jr. and Larry Burke led the field out of 4 for the second heat, with Larry taking the lead at the green, but he was soon passed by Bob Arsenberger out of turn 2. Tim Ice and then Ken Horner get by Burke for second and third respectively. Ice moves up to the back bumper of Arsenberger to challenge for the lead when Snooky Williams and Tom Burke Jr. spin to bring out the yellow. The restart saw Ice increase the pressure for the top spot, but the blue 65 comes up short as Bob Arsenberger takes the checker. Third through fifth were Ken Horner, Steve Pellis, and Danny White. Former dirt track ace Chuck Kennedy jumped into the lead in the third qualifying heat, while the fluorescent stoplight red machines of Greg and Gary Gellner worked fender to fender, with the number 21 of Greg Gellner almost losing the handle out of turn 4. Greg falls back into the field while Gary goes on to challenge Kennedy for the lead, which he secures exiting out of turn 2 and down the back straight. Charlie Cragen moves to the high side of Kennedy in a battle for second, which allows Rick Miller's red 19 to sneak under Cragen for third. Gary Gellner takes the checker, followed by Chuck Kennedy, Rick Miller, Charlie Cragen, and Roger Coral. The Giant Auto Parts Valvoline 4 cylinders first heat race saw Doug Lieberman's 56 jump into the lead at the drop of the green, while Jim Seeger's red 47 comes all the way up to second from the back row before one lap is completed. Past the flag stand on lap 2, Seeger promptly tucks under Lieberman's car and takes off with the lead. Jim goes on for the win, second with the Doug Lieberman, while Bill Webster Jr., Frank Duca, and Marion Reno rounded out the top 5. Mark Catone gets by Randy Pote on lap 1 of the second heat, while Mike Catone, Greg Vasco, and Kurt Havidel battle for fourth on the back straight. Kurt Havidel becomes the man on the move, making a 3-wide pass for second place. Mike Catone then challenges the high side of Pote's 76 in a 3-wide pass for third. Greg Vasco then pressures Pote for position but is not able to make the pass as Kurt Havidel wins, followed by Mike Catone, Randy Pote, Greg Vasco, and Buck Sleek. Mark Catone failed to finish in the top 5 as he was relegated to the pits due to a black flag. Wild 3-wide action during the first heat for the Banquet Street Stocks finds Philadelphia area competitor George Lukens in the lead as Bob Rayleigh spins to bring out the yellow. On the restart, Denny Wingard almost loses control of his machine in turn 1 as the field remains under green. Back to the lead battle, it's Rick Jocks, black 74, pressuring Lukens for the lead, and at the same time trying to hold off Vince Rindisi. The Coors Extra Gold 57 finds the outside group to his liking as Vince takes the Chevelle into the lead. Down the back straight, Tony Hirsch loses control and clips Rayleigh's 29, bringing out the yellow. Rindisi went on to win, followed by Jock, Lukens, Wingard, and Claire Banks Jr. More 3-wide passing at the start of the second heat saw Jeff Stewart's 37 in the middle of all the action as his machine fails to respond. When the dust settles, it's rookie Ron Delano Jr. with the lead, followed by Bill McMillan. McMillan gets under Delano and opens up a floodgate on the low side as the yellow 62 fades out of the top 3 positions. McMillan goes on to the win, followed by Tracy Potter, Mark Roberts, Ron Delano Jr., and Gary Wiltrout. We are ready for the Beckwith Machinery 35-lap late model event. 27 cars strong out there. Let's set up the first couple rows. On the point is Bobby Henry in the 77. Outside of him, Chuck Kennedy in the 24. Inside second row, Dave Chelsted in the 58 and the 42 of Chargin' Charlie Cragen to the outside of him. On the third row, the 16 of Ken Horner and the 26 of Bob Arsenberger.
Rookies Bobby Henry and Chuck Kennedy making up the front row, Mike. Glenn Galt, Steve Pellis back in the 10th and 11th positions. Barry Audie way back in 19th. Clayton Houston, former feature winner this year, starting in 17th place. We'll have to keep an eye on the middle of the pack.
The field tightens up in turns 3 and 4. It could be interesting. Henry jumping on the gas. Will we get a green flag out of 4? We are racing. Down into 1 and 2, Bobby Henry takes off with the lead. Tucking in right behind him is Dave Chelsted. All the cars getting through there cleanly. We're still 2 and 3 wide in the back of the pack as they fly down this back straightaway.
Glenn Galt making the move on the inside going into turn 3.
Out of turn 4, your leader is Bobby Henry since the drop of the green, taking it from the point position. Dave Chelsted running in second. He led this feature last week, and he could prove to be somebody to be reckoned with here in 1990.
Here comes Cragen up behind Chelsted. Chelsted and Bobby Henry, two strong running young competitors we look forward to seeing in Victory Lane in 1990 season.
Interesting factor with those top 3 machines. The first one is a Port City chassis car, and then you have 2 Hal cars. Those are probably 2 of the strongest running Hal chassis machines on this racetrack in 1990.
Charlie Cragen completely destroyed his car last week in that accident. We'll see that in the race break. Built a brand new Hal chassis car. First night out, we'll see how he can do.
And his car is that red machine. They don't have any lettering or sponsors on it because that's a brand new body just surrounding that brand new Hal chassis car. Look at that, 2 and 3 wide to back straightaway.
You know, we've talked about Bobby Henry in the past and his accomplishments. He's one of the top dirt drivers in years past in the semi-late division. He's really made a great transition in the late models.
Another separate battle is developing down the back straightaway. Ken Horner in the 16 on your screen. Directly behind him, the white 26 of Bob Arsenberger. They might have touched out there. That battle continues for 4th, 5th, and 6th as we go to our leaders in turns 1 and 2. Cragen is about a car length off of Dave Chelsted. It looks like Chelsted is the one that is ready to make the move here.
I've noticed Cragen's car going into the first turn. Light wisps of smoke coming off the right side of the race car. We'll have to keep an eye on that and see if they're developing a problem.
Dave Chelsted is trying to work the low line on the straightaway of this racetrack on Henry's machine. He hasn't been able to make the move.
There's trouble in turn 2. Glenn Galt and Tim Ice get together.
There, the cameras are on it now. Glenn Galt has slowed down. We're still under green, Dave. Oh, near misses on the back straightaway. We continue under green flag racing.
What a masterful job Glenn Galt did of avoiding trouble. Got the car almost completely sideways in the groove. Cars avoiding to miss him.
Everybody doing a superb job of missing that incident in turn 2. The drivers, Galt has a lot of experience on the asphalt. We've talked about that. And look at this. Dave Chelsted has taken over the lead while we were concentrating on that mishap in turn 2. Dave Chelsted's gotten the lead. He's up high.
And into turn 2.
Chelsted getting up high in that racetrack almost lost control of that car. Once he gets out of the groove, he's up into some of that oil dry material and some loose tire rubber that's peeled off these racing slicks. And it's just like ice skating out there, and that's what happened to him. But what I was saying, David, before that situation happened, Glenn's car getting through there, he had a lot of years of asphalt able to control that race car, but 4 or 5 years ago, that would end up about an 8 or 9 car pileup out here.
Not in Glenn's fault, but maybe some of the other drivers who were inexperienced running asphalt, it may have been a complete disaster, but we saw all those drivers make it through with no problem.
A great transition. Many of these drivers have done. The majority in this field are former dirt runners, and each year, every time we keep going, each season, they get better and better with controlling these cars on the pavement.
Good battle here. Ken Horner, Bob Arsenberger, and last week's feature winner, Rick Miller, dicing it out coming through turn 4.
It is Horner in the 4th place position. That is a Hal chassis machine of his, the powder blue and white number 16, and right on his back bumper is Arsenberger in the 26 down the back straightaway. Rick Miller, a feature winner here in 1990, currently runs in the 6th place position. That's beginning to be a big freight train back there. Horner is one that they're trying to get around.
Cars are stringing out. The first, second, and third place cars pulling away from 3rd through 6th. Looks like Dave Chelsey's pulling away.
What an impressive run for him. 2nd week in a row, he's jumped out with the lead. Last weekend, it was Rick Miller who was constantly behind him, looking high and low to get around before Miller eventually went on for the win. This week, Bobby Henry's behind him.
It's interesting. 1990, we've seen a lot of drivers who normally run out of the top 10, battling it out for the lead right down to the wire. Dave Chelsey is among one of those drivers.
Parity becoming a household word with the competition in 1990 at Jennerstown. Dave Chelsted out there with a brand new 1990 Hal chassis ride for this season. It's the J&N Video Connection 58 machine, and he's making it work well this evening.
Bobby Henry looking for that slight bobble. Dave Chelsted had 2 of them already in this event. He's waiting for that mistake. Charlie Cragen right behind Henry. He's waiting for both of them to make a mistake.
Those cars getting around the lap traffic of Tom Finney in the 38. I talked to Tom early in the pits. A real unique situation going on there. The car is out of Girard, Ohio, but Tom lives in Port Charlotte, Florida. They drive all the way up here when they decide to run on Saturday nights at Jennerstown. Incredible.
Looked like he got into somebody. A little bit of the sheet metal on the left side of the race car, the rear quarter panel hanging off.
Ken Horner continues to hold down fourth place position and has everybody closing up on his back bumper, as Horner has not been able to keep pace with the top three runners, but he finds himself with Bob Arsenberger, Rick Miller, Tim Ice joining in there in the McCall 65 machine, and that looks like Steve Pellis also into this freight train battle for fourth.
We mentioned Steve Pellis going into this event was the current Winston Racing Series point leader. He's not going to make very much ground, stuck back in 8th position.
Steve leading the Northeast regional points in the Winston Racing Series, one of 8 regional leaders out there in the 1990 season.
We'll have to keep an eye on Craig, and I mentioned in the early part of the race, wisps of smoke coming out there. It's getting a little bit stronger as he goes into the first turn, coming off the right side of the car. I don't know if the body's rubbing on the tire or if he has a motor problem.
Unusual situation developing now. These top 3 cars will be getting some times on them. They're in the low 19 seconds. And Ken Horner, who's back in 4th, he's holding up some cars we know that are capable of running in the mid 18-second brackets. So there's some, and Cragen, of course, is capable of that kind of time out there. Our leaders really are almost a second slower than what some of our leaders can do out there.
I noticed coming out of the 4th turn, Cragen ducked to the inside of Bobby Henry. When they went into the first turn, Henry ducked down low to block that move by Cragen.
Down the front straightaway, our top 3 runners separating themselves from the 4th place position. Now coming into your screen, you can see how distant the gap is between the Horner machine, the 16, running in 4th, and Cragen, who's currently running in 3rd place position. Rick Miller, he's a guy that likes the low side of this track, at least so far in 1990. He's been working well on the low side. We'll have to watch and see what he does with Arsenberger right in front of him.
I know he's going to want to try and make it 2 in a row. His wife told me in Victory Lane, boy, it sure does feel good down here. And we have a battle for the lead. Bobby Henry.
Unbelievable 3-wide racing in turns 3 and 4, and the lap traffic plays the miscue for the 58 of Dave Chelsted. He went from 1st to 3rd place position in a half a lap. Look at Henry's car push up out of turn 2.
Here comes Cragen up behind Bobby Henry out of turn 2.
Going into turn 3, Bobby Henry with the lead, an opportunity for him to look for a first career checker flag. He's holding off Cragen's machine. Cragen looking good on the low side of this racetrack, but Henry's car keeps sliding up out of the groove.
In turn 4, and here comes Cragen on the low side out of turn 2.
Side by side, wheel to wheel, diving into turn 3. Lap traffic in front of him, but Cragen's able to make the pass before they get into that situation. Going back a couple laps ago, there is your 3rd place runner, Dave Chelsted. When he was leading, it came time to thread the needle. He committed to a line up high on Larry Burke, and by doing that, that's right, the situation didn't work out for him and ended up letting both these cars getting by. Look at Bobby Henry trying to make lap traffic work for him.
Couldn't get around the 6 car of Snooky Williams to make the pass on Cragen, although he's going to try it again down low, but the Tim Bainey number 5 car is in the way.
Cragen down the back straightaway, and their crew has to be excited with a brand new car out there after that disaster last week.
Bobby Henry, he will win a race in 1990. Dave Chelsted looking very good. We've talked about him earlier.
Tim Ice trying a daring high side move in this battle for 4th place position. You know, Ice is one of the first to try to make that move, and I would think all these drivers, now he tucks back in behind the red 19 of Rick Miller. I would think all these drivers, there's a real problem here, a guessing game of what you do, because if you jump out of this pack and you find out your car's not handling on the outside of the racetrack, you could go backwards and look at this string. There's 10 or 12 cars here. You could lose 8 or 9 positions out there.
We saw that happen to Randy Burke earlier in the event. I don't know if it showed on camera, but he was running towards the middle of the pack, got out of line on the outside groove, went straight to the back of the pack.
Ken Horner continues to hold off this pack of high-flying machines. And there's something else. We addressed at the very opening of our show. Our NASCAR Winston Racing Series leaders in the top 5 positions, Barriotti, Glenn Galt, and Steve Pellis, they are stuck behind Horner's car.
Laps winding down in this event. Those drivers are going to have to make their move as we go back to the leaders.
Charlie Cragen down the back straightaway in the 42 continues the lead. There's heavy lap traffic in front of him. This might be an opportunity for Bobby Henry. Henry trying the low side. Cragen up high. Cragen with that lap traffic, and it works out to his advantage. Sometimes you need Lady Luck on your side.
Lap traffic did a good job moving down low. Jack Freeman saw to it. Oh, we got a spin in turn 3.
Roger Coral in the 11 bringing out a yellow flag on lap 30. 35-lap feature event, and we went all the way.
Rick Miller just got bumped coming down the front straightaway, hit the inside wall. That's off camera. It looks like Miller's car came to a stop on the front straightaway.
We talked about Charlie Cragen having that problem last weekend. While we're under yellow, let's go to race break and look at that.
This race break is brought to you by Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer.
Often on the show, you'll see a lot of action with cars getting out of control. That's part of short track racing where so many cars come close together. Last week on the show, Charlie Cragen had lost control of his racing machine down the back straightaway, and we can see the trail, the skid marks here, which lead all the way up here to this corner, which he hit so hard that the rim is indented on this wall. And the GO from the Goodyear tires actually imprinted on there. Inside here are rubber tires filled with rubber filings from, we pick up the track every week and put it in there to act as a cushion. When he hit that, it threw all those filings through the air. They're all over the ground here. And look at this on the telephone pole. You often see the mishap when it happens on Chase of the Checker, but not too often do we look at the aftermath of an accident like that. Fortunately, Charlie Cragen was okay and walked away from his machine.
This race break has been brought to you by Beckwith Machinery Company, your Caterpillar dealer.
We're back 30 laps into this 35-lap feature event for the Beckwith Machinery late models. Cragen on the point, followed by Bobby Henry. Dave Chelsted in the 58. Ken Horner in the 16 has been holding on to that fourth place position for so long with everybody else behind him. That 94, the blue car, is a lapped automobile of Don Wyant.
Several lap cars in between Chelsted and Horner's car.
Here we go. The green's out. We're racing. 5 laps remaining. Down into 1 and 2, charging Charlie Cragen with the lead. Look at this pack in the back, in the middle of the field as they battle out side by side. On the back straightaway, your leader Cragen goes into 3 and 4.
Looked like 5th place Bob Arsenberger was making a move on Horner coming out of turn 2. Couldn't make the pass.
Here is that battle for 4th on the front straightaway. Bob Arsenberger running out of time if he's going to have to take an opportunity to improve his position. Meanwhile, Cragen stretching out his lead over Bobby Henry.
Early leader Dave Chelsted looked like going into the turns. His car is washing out. Tires may have gone away from that car.
And it's a tough situation for Dave Chelsted as he continues to fall back. Meanwhile, this battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and about 9 other positions continues behind the back bumper and Horner.
Keep an eye on these cars. Tim Ice trying to make a move around Rick Miller.
Well, he's did a little bit of door knocking out there, perhaps, on the back bumper of Miller, anxious to try to make a move. Is Ice in that blue 65 machine.
During that lap 30 caution, Rick Miller had spun and hit the inside wall. Now, the caution flag came out for Roger Coral in the 3rd turn. Rick Miller was able to get his position back. He was not involved in the initial caution.
Up high is the 65 of Tim Ice trying to make a move. As we go back to your leader in turns 1 and 2, charging Charlie Cragen is threatening to be the first repeat winner in 1990. We've had 5 different drivers so far. Here comes Cragen working out of turns 3 and 4. A beautiful machine, brand new, coming out of the turn. And look at this battle for 2nd. Cragen takes the checker, followed by Bobby Henry in 2nd, and Dave Chelsted in 3rd. 4th going to Horner.
Fighter Brothers and Doc Scanlon have to be ecstatic about Cragen picking up this win after that disastrous crash last weekend.
Best finish for Bobby Henry in his 77, the dirt track ace. He's going to win one yet, as you mentioned, Dave. Another good, fine finish for the 58 of Dave Chelsted. 2nd week in a row, he's been 3rd. In victory lane, sometimes we could call him Smiling Charlie Cragen because he's a pretty happy fella.
We'll be right back after this.
The NASCAR Winston Cup stars are coming to Western Pennsylvania's #1 Cochran presents the Race of Champions, Sunday, July 1st at Motordrome Speedway. See Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott, Kyle Petty, Michael Waltrip, Brooke Wilson, and Dale Jarrett in competition.
Join us along with 4 other top Winston Cup drivers for the Race of Champions.
Come see us July 1st at the Motordrome Speedway. Come early for the autograph session.
Don't miss it. We'll be there.
It's the #1 Cochran Race of Champions, Sunday, July 1st at Motordrome Speedway.
RPM, Racing's Almost Perfect magazine, is the best way to keep up to date on all the latest racing news all year long. Racing's Almost Perfect magazine is available at over 500 locations in Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and Maryland. You can also have RPM sent to your home. For subscription information, call 412-824-0888. Remember, if you keep your RPMs up, you will always be ahead of the crowd.
North Star Auto Parts specializes in late model salvage for American and foreign cars and trucks. Our large selection of economical and dependable used parts is monitored by computer to give you fast and accurate price quotes. Our national parts search program puts the inventory of the entire country at our fingertips. If it's available, we'll find it. We offer a 100-day warranty on all late model drivetrain components and free delivery to businesses in a 10-county area. For quality used parts with state-of-the-art service, it's North Star Auto Parts.
Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any automobile manufacturer. And that's not all. Valvoline motor oil is actually recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. And when the members of the Sports Car Club of America were polled, they named Valvoline their #1 motor oil. People who know use Valvoline.
Valvoline motor oil is available at all Giant Auto Parts stores.
We're back getting ready for the Giant Auto Parts Valvoline 4-cylinder 25-lap feature event. On the point is the 76 of Randy Pote. Outside of him on that first row is the 07 of Bill Webster Jr. Second row inside is the 56 of Doug Lieberman. Outside of him, Greg Vasco in the 41. 57 of Frank Duca and the 47 of Jimmy Seeger. Your top three rows.
Keep an eye on 13th place starter Mark Catone. He was leading his heat race, was black flagged. There was some fluid spilling out of the rear end of the car.
The green's out. We're racing, diving into 1 and 2. The car's coming up the power. Lieberman going to the outside, trying to make a move. We're side by side out of turn 2. Pote on the inside, Lieberman on the outside. Bill Webster Jr. back there running in third. It's still Doug Lieberman to the high side of this racetrack. Everybody getting down the back straightaway cleanly. There's Jimmy Seeger in the 47
Look at
machine.
Kurt Havidel making the move.
Wow, Havidel on the outside, and now he tucks down in under Seeger's machine. Jimmy Seeger leading the way and bringing Kurt Havidel right with them as they run in the 4th and 5th place positions. Actually, they're running third now, battling for second as Doug Lieberman has taken over the lead. Seeger now getting into 2nd place position, and he's bringing Kurt Havidel with him. Those two guys, they fight it out tooth and nail.
They had a battle going on at Motordrome last weekend. Saw the cars touch, stopped on the racetrack, kept going, came down as a photo finish.
Down the back straightaway, the battles for the lead. The former Delaware resident, now living out of Chesterton, Maryland, Doug Lieberman on the point in that Lindblad chassis machine.
Contact made. Jimmy Seeger into the left rear quarter panel.
And there goes Havidel into the lead. Havidel making it on the high side, and look at him just launch out of that lead position. Seeger now getting to the low side of Lieberman. He goes into 2nd place position with that W&W Howe chassis machine, but it's Kurt Havidel all out there stretching out the lead over Seeger.
We got a good battle going on here in the middle of the pack. Here comes Mark Catone. I mentioned keep an eye on him starting in 13th position.
Incredible. He's already up to a top 6th place position after starting in the back of this pack. Marion Reno is directly behind him in a Smale Mazda 61 machine. As we go back to position change, Doug Lieberman, who started up on the front row, continues to fade back through this field. Mike Catone, Mark's brother, is really on the move in that Dodgeland #2 machine.
I don't think Mark Catone, that poor guy, he couldn't buy a feature win. He's had so many problems. He runs up front. Something always goes wrong with the car.
Not right now, though. In turn 3, he's diving under Doug Lieberman, and Mark Catone will soon be coming up to the back bumper of his brother Mike in a sibling rivalry out there on the pavement.
Mark Catone really laying the pavement. He's on the charge. He wants to get to the front.
That car is an Imperial chassis machine out of the shops of Kurt Havidel. We talked about that before. The Target Ford sponsored number 24. He continues his high-flying paces. And some of the cars are top positions stretching out. There's Jimmy Seeger going into 1 and 2, and it looks like he may be closing up a bit on Havidel.
Kurt Havidel several weeks ago was amongst the missing, running an ARCA Pro 4 race in Ohio. Was running 2nd in that event, about 2 laps from the finish. A lap car spun him out. He eventually finished 6th in that race. That's a real testament to those people that run that car.
He has quite a few of the chassis of their own design, the Imperial chassis machines, in this field tonight as he continues the lead down the back straightaway, approaching, I believe that's Frank Duca's machine, the 57 out there. It certainly is. He gets around him and puts him a lap down. Jimmy Seeger, meanwhile, earlier in the pits, I was looking over these cars. And Dave, I'll tell you what, Jimmy Seeger probably has to have the widest four-cylinder machine out there I've ever seen.
That car almost looks like a late model. It's a very radical-looking four-cylinder. If you look at Kurt Havidel's car coming down the back straightaway, when it's on camera, the body is extremely offset. That's another radical-looking four-cylinder car.
We go back to, speaking about bodies on cars, we go back to this battle between the Catone brothers. Mike Catone in that red and white number 2 machine. That's the Dodge Daytona bodied machine. I think that's the only Chrysler body on one of these race cars out here.
These two brothers are tough competitors out on the racetrack. When they're in the pits, they help each other out quite a bit. I don't think we really see that much of a rivalry out on the racetrack. They don't go head-to-head and bang on each other.
Mark trying the low side, going into that position, able to take it away from his brother Mike. Did not Mike used to work on Mark's car before he started racing?
Yeah, Mike was a mechanic on brother Mark, and this is getting confusing. Mike and Mark, but Mike was a mechanic on Mark's car at one time. He decided to jump into a four-cylinder. Now he's one of the top drivers.
We'll get it together there as we go back to our leader in turn 3, Kurt Havidel out of Imperial, Pennsylvania. A checker career he's had back to when he started racing at North Hill Speedway on the dirt.
He started out in a figure-8 class. I remember seeing a photo of Kurt's car upside down in the creek that ran behind the North Hill Speedway when he drove a figure-8.
On the back straightaway, Jimmy Seeger, just the opposite end here. Here's a guy last year just climbed into this W&W Howell chassis machine, the Clearfield Imports 47, and showed right from the start that he felt comfortable with the pavement.
He's been a strong runner last year and this year. He already has a feature win here at Jennerstown and at Motordrome.
One of the fun things to watch, when you come out to Jennerstown, addressing the race fans here watching the show today, watch how Jimmy Seeger at Jennerstown, he's doing a little bit there. We don't, not as strongly as he usually does it. He loves to ride this high part out of turn 4 and come so close to the wall. Many times he kicks that oil dry material up in the air that's resting up against the wall. He's that close to it.
We've talked about that in shows in past, and Seeger has to watch he doesn't get too high. If that car loses control, boy, it's going to be a short trip into a hard wall.
Mark Catone, one of the many McKeesport, Pennsylvania drivers in his field. That town of McKeesport almost has a lock on this Giant Auto Parts Valvoline four-cylinder division.
You see the flag Jack Freeman displaying to several of the competitors. That's a blue with a yellow stripe. That's for the slower cars to move over, the lap cars. The faster cars are coming through. Get out of my way.
We talked earlier, Dave, about the bottom.
Sleep just looped it in front of leader Kurt Havidel in the first turn.
The Johnstown, Pennsylvania driver able to keep that car off the wall, so he should be able to rejoin the field. We're on the yellow flag on lap 16 of this Giant Auto Parts Valvoline four-cylinder feature event. We'll be going 25 laps in it. So while we're in this holding pattern, let's take a look at our second race break. We'll be talking to one of our track officials about illegal carburetors and how we check them.
This race break is brought to you by Giant Auto Parts, your hometown auto parts store, and Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline.
It is the goal of every driver at Jennerstown to visit Victory Lane, and a driver will do anything he can to pick up that checker flag. Sometimes they'll even try to bend the rules. Fast Freddie Foster, a tech inspector here at Jennerstown, will help me out, and one of the things they look at with these competitors. Freddie, you have a carburetor here. What are you going to show to the fans?
Well, this is actually an illegal carburetor, Mike. You can see from the outside that it's been modified on the top. The choke horn's been taken off. And NASCAR provides me with these tools to check for the 350 CFM carburetor used in the street stocks and four cylinders. If this gauge goes in the carburetor, plunk, it's an illegal carburetor. You can see again that this has been modified. The other tool that they have for me is to measure the throttle bore diameter, which is this tool. If this tool goes in, it's an illegal carburetor. We have an illegal carburetor, Mike. This is not allowed in street stocks or four cylinders.
So if that carburetor was on the engine of one of our competitors here at Jennerstown, they'd have an awful tough time picking up that checker.
This race break has been brought to you by Giant Auto Parts, your hometown auto parts store, and Valvoline Motor Oil. People who know use Valvoline.
We're back getting ready for the restart for this event. Hey, how about that Fast Freddie? He loves to look for a car that's illegal.
Freddie Foster, one of the better tech men across the country. His dad was, oh, we got a battle coming down the front straightaway.
The green's on, and Jimmy Seeger's trying to grab the lead over Kurt Havidel. This is deja vu of some earlier shows. Havidel having problems coming up to speed on the restarts, but this time he's hanging on to the outside of Seeger's machine. We're side by side.
Seeger bobbled going into 3.
Jimmy Seeger losing the handle a bit, has to fall off the pace, and here comes Havidel into the lead.
Kurt Havidel hanging it out for all it's worth into turn 1.
Just before Seeger jumped past Kurt Havidel's car, what were you mentioning here about Freddie's dad?
Fast Freddie's dad, I believe he owned and drove a dirt car years ago, one of the top competitors in the local dirt circuit.
We talk all the time about how this sport of ours, particularly on a regionalized level, is so family-oriented with all the different drivers and fathers passing down to their sons the tradition of going out on the weekends and racing, especially here right in western Pennsylvania. A great battle developing for second place position. Mark Catone going to the high side of Seeger, and we've talked about it earlier, David. This guy, what an outstanding performance after having such a dismal 1989 season and problems in early of 1990.
He's gnawing on the back end of Jimmy Seeger's car, wanting to get around him to make a move on Kurt Havidel.
The battle continues for second. Seeger in a W&W Howe car. Here comes...
Oh, contact.
That's my question. Did they head out there? If they weren't, how close they run in the Giant Auto Parts Valvoline 4 cylinders. Inches away, and it's still Mark Catone trying to get around Seeger for second.
Catone looked like Jamie Obie in the Busch Grand National race last week, coming out of 4 almost completely sideways.
It sure looked like that as they continue that battle. Look at him down there again. He's off the banking on that part, Dave.
Unreal. Down under the yellow line.
And that's flatland territory, and you're in trouble there. So Mark doing a beautiful job, and not only trying quarter panel time. Look at that.
Sideways with the Catone car.
Look at that. The guy's slowing off the pace. We continue with green flag racing, and unfortunately, Mark got the worst of that situation.
Yeah, that hurt him more than it helped him.
Yeah, a little intimidation factor there on the left rear quarter panel of Seeger's machine. They continue that. Oh, look at Catone wash up in turn 2.
Mark Catone, he's trying to get back in position after he made that bobble coming out of turn 2.
We're still under the green flag on the waning laps of this feature event. Looks like Webster's pulling the 07 into the pits, off the pace for that machine. Mark Catone all by himself in third. Will he have enough time to muster up another battle for second place position with Seeger?
While we're talking about this second place battle going on, Kurt Havidel has really stretched the lead.
Havidel has shown week in and week out that they do their homework on that car, and they're able to set it up to the pin on the asphalt here at Jennerstown as Frank Duca goes yet another lap down in that 57.
Kurt Havidel coming out of number 2. You can see the offset on the body, making the round for the checkered flag.
Out of turn 4, Havidel will pick up that checker. Here he comes across the finish line. Double checkers from starter Jack Freeman. Second will go to Jim Seeger in the 47.
Kurt Havidel picking up his 4th feature win at Jennerstown, 6th overall in the western Pennsylvania area.
And that's out of 11 events run between here at Jennerstown and Motordrome, so a great average for Kurt Havidel. The Catone brothers, Mark finishing 3rd and Mike finishing 4th. One of Mark's best finishes of the year as he continues to show vast improvement over the previous season. In victory lane, Kurt Havidel in the Giant Auto Parts Valvoline 4-cylinder division. We'll be right back after this.
Valvoline makes the highest quality motor oil recommended by any automobile manufacturer. And that's not all. Valvoline motor oil is actually recommended by name in the owner's manuals of these world-class cars. And when the members of the Sports Car Club of America were polled, they named Valvoline their #1 motor oil. People who know use Valvoline.
Valvoline motor oil is available at all Giant Auto Parts stores.
When summer days heat up, let East Hills TV and Appliance cool you down with Panasonic air conditioners. See the new L-shaped air conditioner specially designed to direct cool air inside and annoying mechanical sound outside. Or try one of Panasonic's standard air conditioners with a 4-way air deflection system and ventilation control. East Hills TV and Appliance guarantees you the lowest prices and quality service, delivery, and installation. East Hills TV and Appliance will cool you down this summer with Panasonic air conditioners. Scalp Avenue in Johnstown.
Welcome back. The chase to the checker, the Banquet Street Stocks on the racing surface for the 3rd and final feature of this show. Let's set the field up for you. All the way from the Philadelphia area, on the point is the 19 of George Lukens. Outside of him, Gary Wiltrot in the 10. Ron Delano Jr. in the 62 inside second row. Outside of him, Rick Jock in the 74. The 51 of Wild Bill McMillan inside third row. Outside of him in the 11, Tracy Potter.
The only two competitors able to pick up feature victories for the 1990 season at Jennerstown, Denny Wingard starting in the 8th spot, Vince Randisi starting 10th, Mark Roberts in the 66 car. He's sandwiched in between those two competitors.
And that's right in the middle of the pack, so we'll be watching that as we come around, ready for that green flag. We're going 20 laps for the Banquet Street Stocks. On the point, George Lucan holding him down to a real slow pace. Oh, we're going to get 3 and 4 wide, Dave. Here we go.
Once again, the Street Stocks 3 wide going into turn 1.
Look at this battle for the lead. Way up high in the outside. Oh, Will Trot goes out for the lead into 10. Here comes Tracy Potter. Sees an opening between two automobiles, trying to grab second place. We're still 3 and 4 wide. An incredible battle up front for the lead. It continues to be Will Trot stretching it out by 2 car lengths. And look at Rick Jock up high. Here comes Denny Wingard.
Cars all over the place. Denny Wingard and Rick Jock jockeying around for position down the front straightaway.
Wow, Bill McMillan to the low side of Potter. They keep going down the back straightaway with this intense battle for the lead. On the inside is Will Trot. To the high side of second place running McMillan is the 11 of Potter. Here comes the 49 of Denny Wingard.
Gary Wiltrot, I'm sure he's wishing this was the last lap because he's got all that heat right behind him.
To the low side goes McMillan trying to make a move. He can't do it, and while he does that, Potter goes live. Vince Randisi out of nowhere in the Coors Extra Gold 57. He's making a move. He's to the high side of Wingard. It's 3 wide for the lead in turns 3 and 4.
This is incredible racing. Who's going to come out in front this time?
Randisi diving down low, making it 3 wide for battle for position in turns 1 and 2. As wow, Bill McMillan continues to lead this event.
Boy, they made a ham sandwich out of Gary Wiltrout coming out of the 4th turn, coming down the front straightaway.
The car's still under a green flag condition. It's amazing. We've gone so far without a yellow as they're stringing out a little bit in the top positions. Vince Randisi.
Oh, look out! Gary Wiltrout flying through the air.
Rick Jock loses a tire. A shower of sparks. It's 4th of July in turns 1 and 2.
Gary Wiltrout out of the camera angle launched his car right over the 74 of Rick Jock, landing on the front straightaway, all 4 wheels touching the ground.
While we clean up all this mechanical mayhem, we'll take time out for our 3rd and final race break on some more tech inspections.
This race break is brought to you by Banquet Frozen Foods. Good food that's right on the money.
When you pick up a checker flag at Jennerstown in a feature event, you better believe Fred Foster here is going to check your engine to make sure it's legal. Fred, what is this device and what is it used for?
This device in my hand, Mike, is a cubic inch tester that we use on all winners, sometimes the top 3 and occasionally a random check to keep the engine rule in enforcement. We hook this device through an adapter much like this to one cylinder of the engine, crank the engine, and when the ring stops to rise, that represents the volume of one cylinder of that engine. Now, if it's a 4-cylinder, we'll multiply times the temperature factor and the number 4 for 4 cylinders. Same way with 8 cylinders. And I consult a chart, and I come out with the actual cubic inch of that race engine.
So that way we're able to tell whether the car has a legal engine or not.
Correct.
And if they're not legal, well, they can say bye-bye to that checker. And what do the racers notoriously call this piece?
They refer to this device, Mike, as the pump.
There you have it, the pump, keeping engine check here at Jennerstown.
This race break has been brought to you by Banquet Frozen Foods. Good food that's right on the money.
We're back with the Banquet Street Stocks in their 20-lap feature event. Getting ready for this restart after an early race yellow. It is the 51 of Wild Bill McMillan on the point. Denny Wingard right behind him. Let's keep our eyes on it. The green comes out and we're racing.
Let's see if we can pick up this incredible action.
Starting it already, Dave. Going to the outside. Straightening it out by hitting a wall.
makes a challenge up on the high side. He's looking in 1 and 2. He has a car half a length at him. No, McMillan comes right back on him. They're fender to fender down the back straightaway.
Another incredible battle. I think with Randisi, less horsepower than the late models, he's able to run in that third group. He's making it work. Look at him go into the 4th turn.
Randisi power sliding that car sometimes all the way through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Look at Wingert. He's got a half car length under McMillan.
Oh, big touch. Wingert sideways through the 2nd turn.
Down the back straightaway, trading paint out there in this battle for the lead. We're still under green flag racing as they get around turn
Fitz
5.
Randisi just hit Denny Wingert. Oh, look out.
Mass confusion in turn 4. Ball in the left automobile catches a little bit of it. Randisi continues on.
Race fans, let's take another look at that from a different angle.
It certainly deserves it. There's a still shot with McMillan in the lead. Let's see. Randisi gets under Wingert. They make contact. Wingert just does a 90-degree loop, and he catches Potter there. And Tony Baum in the middle of things. Randisi made some contact with the wall on the outside. Look at this. Denny Wingert's car into the pits, and the crew's there, Dave.
Crew's there attempting to pull the loose sheet metal away from the race car. It looked as though when the cars went into the 3rd turn, Randisi got to the low side of Wingert, hopped over his left rear tire, spinning both cars out. The other cars making contact with the Wingert and Randisi car.
Randisi's car into the pits as the crew looks over the right rear of that machine. The question becomes, can both of these two top runners, the drivers that have had a lock on victory lane, can they make the repairs in time to get back out there before the restart? Here comes Wingert's machine. And will it affect the handling of the machines? Is something knocked out of kilter on the suspension of either one of these machines?
Well, not only that, we wonder if any of the sheet metal that was loose on the Wingert car is rubbing any of the tires, and also on the Randisi car there was quite a bit of contact made. We'll have to keep an eye on the tire situation.
Wingert's machine able to rejoin the field as work continues on Vince Randisi's Coors Extra Gold 57. And while all this action's going on in the pits, we'll take time out and be right back after this. The NASCAR Winston Cup stars are coming to Western Pennsylvania's #1 Cochran presents the Race of Champions Sunday, July 1st at Motordrome Speedway. See Rusty Wallace, Bill Elliott, Kyle Petty, Michael Waltrip, Rick Wilson, and Dale Jarrett in competition.
Hi, I'm Rusty Wallace. Join me with 5 other top Winston Cup drivers for the Race of Champions, Sunday, July 1st at the Motordrome Speedway. Come early for the autograph session.
It's the #1 Cochran Race of Champions Sunday, July 1st at Motordrome Speedway.
Interstate 88. You won't find it on the map, but thousands travel it every day. It's the well-deserved nickname for Oldsmobile's 88 Royale. Always at home on the highway with full-size room for 6, plenty of passing power, and a smooth ride that makes the most out of every mile. Factory-to-dealer incentives have already made good deals possible. Now, you also get a $1,000 U.S. savings bond or $500 factory cash back on 88. Take a test drive down Interstate 88 today at your Super Grand Olds Gang dealer.
We're back with this Wild Banquet Street Stock 20-lap feature event. McMillan on the point, getting ready to bring him around for the green. The green's out. We're racing again.
Unbelievable action we've had early on in this event. Let's see if they continue.
On the point, it continues to be McMillan down the back straightaway. Tracy Potter inheriting second-place position after that last miscue, bringing out the previous yellow flag. Mark Roberts is up to 3rd place. They go around Tony Baum's car. He's still out there despite being involved in that mishap in 3 and 4, but well off the pace.
Tony Baum in a kit car, a Dodge kit car that was prevalent several years ago. Former Winston Cup driver Pete Hamilton was known for the Dodge kit cars. Tony Baum picked this up, I don't even know where, somewhere in the United States, and now he's running it as a street stock.
I think he told me he got that in the state of Virginia, Dave, but it's wild to think that they're still out there, and he's got one out here on the asphalt tonight, and his first time out here in 1990.
That's a Plymouth Duster body surrounding that Dodge kit car. They were prevalent back in the early 1970s. That car definitely has been around a while.
Great battling going on here with Ron Delano heading a pack of cars out of turn 4. He is in the yellow and red 62. To the high side of him goes Bob Rayleigh in the 29.
If you fans keep an eye on the Denny Wingert car on the outside of the 37, you can see that entire side, the sheet metal is gone, exposing the roll cage. You may be able to see Denny battling it out with that steering wheel.
Denny Wingard from the back of the pack has moved into fighting for top 10 positions in the 49. You mentioned the other side, the driver's side. The sheet metal's away from the car, and it looks like a skeleton out there running around in the high side. He's behind the 29 of Rayleigh.
What a battle. Bob Rayleigh, Ron Delano, Jeff Stewart, Mark Cable, and Denny Wingard. They're going at it like they... Oh, look out!
In turn 3, another problem.
Oh,
we're
up against
still
the
not
wall.
done. Still not finished with this, David. There we go.
Jeff Stewart and Mark Cable way up against the wall. Ron Delano coming to a stop.
Delano's car, I just think he went into a turn a little too hard and got sideways and brought that car to a stop. Rayleigh's car, you see, they caught the bumper on that machine, and it's hanging off. He'll have to go into the pits to get that pulled off. Delano's machine heads into the pits with a right front flat tire.
We get ready for the lineup again, Mike.
There's a good shot. It looks like he's sitting in his living room there, steering that car. You can see right through that cage structure on Wingard's machine.
You know, about 5 years ago, a car in Florida, Larry Rogers, had a clear see-through body on his race car.
The green comes out and we're racing. Tell me a little bit more about that.
The car was a plexiglass or a Lexan body that covered the roll cage. You could see the entire race car, and that's how he raced it.
Down the back straightaway, the battle is for the lead. Tracy Potter trying the low side, and he goes into that lead position, taking advantage of the restart. Potter out of Carruthers, Pennsylvania, holds on to the lead, and here comes Denny Wingard. Wingard up high on the outside of Mark Roberts as he battles for third place position. Wingard now looking in third for that second place position. McMillan goes up to the high side to block him. Wingard chooses to go to the low line.
I wonder which side of the car Denny Wingard is missing. He told us that was about, Wingard sideways. He said that's about a 5-piece race car, a Montego, a Torino, a site, whatever. The parts of it are gone. And here comes McMillan back. And we got another caution.
We've got a yellow, and it's for 82, Wendell Freed. He spins in turn 2, and that brings out our 4th caution in this event, only going 20 laps of the Banquet Street Stocks. Incredible racing and some miscues here, mixing it all up in this event.
I missed that spin. It doesn't look like Wendell Freed came in contact with any other car or the wall. He's able to get under his own power.
Well, he'll be rejoining the field in that Ford product. Freed's been out there for a couple years running. Another one of the many dirt track drivers who's made a good transition over to the pavement. It's up to Tracy Potter when we come around the next time for the green.
We see the track steward trying to get the cars bunched up for this green flag start.
Potter will have his hands full. McMillan has not been in victory lane for a while here at Jennerstown. He was really hot on the asphalt when they first paved Clearfield in '86. He won a lot up there, didn't he?
McMillan was a former track champion at Clearfield. He was 11th in points at Jennerstown 1989. He had several feature wins in the 1988 racing season.
The green's back out, and we have this restart under racing conditions working on lap 15. Tracy Potter out on the point. Time is running out for...
Jennerstown Speedway NASCAR.